Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another episode of Foxhole. Today, I want to discuss with you some strategy I've put together. I've noticed an issue in the game where there seems to be this belief that all of the resources gathered go to the quartermaster, and then the quartermaster decides who needs it best. So that means no matter who's doing the most work, the quartermaster just sends it wherever he believes. And another issue with that is that the quartermaster never seems to think about the logistics members. He only thinks about front line. That's all he knows is front line. Well, I'm going to discuss with you a plan that can work around the quartermaster, but also with the quartermaster. So let's go down here to HQ on the crumbling post. The quartermaster is normally located at HQ around the weapons factories. So what I'm proposing is we introduce something called a commander, a field commander. What the commander will do is pick a side of the map where he will work with his logistics and frontline soldiers, engineers, builders, everything. And he will run his operation the way he sees fit. But he'll also work with the commander. Now, give me a little time here and I'll break it all down so that you can understand. First thing first, let's go ahead and define both sides of the map. We're going to start off by drawing a line across the map to serve as a border to represent as an even distribution of resources on the map. Now, I understand that there are going to be some differences in it, but let's just go along with it for the moment. This will be our border, the black line on the map. I'll flash it a couple times so that you can see it. The border has been placed based on the amount of sulfur nodes around the map. Now, there seems to be more components on the colonial side of the map than the warden side of the map than the colonial side. Now let's identify both sides. This is the colonial side in green. This is the warden side in blue. Now with the warden side, it does look like there's a few more resources there, component resources, but let's not get too bogged down in the details there. Now I'm going to remove the colonial side just for a moment here so that we can discuss some of the other things that I wanted to bring to you. In the colonial side, I'm going to be discussing this as though I'm the commander on the field. I'm going to be picking a side of the field that I want to represent as a commander, and my men, meaning all the logistics, all of the builders, all of the resources that are willing to work with me to win the war. So one of the things I want to discuss with you first is the roads. Roads are very important. Never, ever, under any circumstances, build in the road. Let's go ahead and highlight the roads. The roads are now highlighted in yellow. The reason I've done that is because I'm about to show you some more markings on the map that are going to represent the defense and network structures that I would like to place as a commander from my side of the field. Now, as a commander, I'm going to be choosing the western side of the map here. The eastern side of the map, excuse me. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build network from the crumbling post, which is our HQ, all the way over through Whispering Gulch to the key Stern Latch. This is how we're going to do that. I'm going to show you the map with a bunch of dots on them. The dots are going to represent network and defensive structures. You can see on the map right now, flashing would be different dots, green and red. The green will be network. The red will be defensive structures like foxholes, pillboxes, all the different things that you can build to shoot and kill enemy and destroy enemy vehicles. So let's go ahead and discuss them in part right now. We're first wanting to discuss the network. So let's take the defense out of the way for a moment and discuss the network. As you can see, all the green dots, I don't know if they're visible to everyone. I understand that there are some colorblind issues and things of that nature that we have to work around, but I'll do my best here. I use this green to sort of overlay. Well, that might actually make things worse, so I'll probably take that off. Yeah, let's take that off. You see the green dots loaded around. These are all the networking tunnels that I would build as a commander on my side of the map. Now let's discuss why I placed them the way that I built them. First thing first, you have to start your network from your HQ. Now, because I'm going to be building in the east, first I want to make sure that this area is secured. Bringing it on around. You got your network going around here because I'm going to want to erect a lot of defensive structures around this. This is sulfur and fuel. Very important. Then we're going to drag it on over here around these components. Connect it to the key. This is just redundancy because the key has a town hall which can also generate its own networking. But by running this level of redundancy, if the key were to be attacked and we lose that town hall, the network, which is dragged from the crumbling posts, would keep the defenses alive even if the key were to fall. So that's why I have the redundancy. I also have network dragged out here because if guys are going to want to work with me over here in the east, they're going to want to be protected. So I got network dragged all out of this area as well. Now the same thing up here. I'm going to discuss this area a little bit later on. We go up to the stern, all around our resources, the latch, and there are also resources that connect over here to the east. Now the reason why I did that is because there are also resources there that I can get if there's no commander that's doing the same thing over in Overlook. If they're just running willy-nilly like they normally do, I'll be, commandeering these resources as well. Let's start this as though we're going to be working out of the latch and trying to fortify this border between us and the wardens here. So I'm going to flash colonial area once more. And this is where we're going to be working. So we're going to want our network spread out nice and wonderful. Same concept applies to the latch that applied to the key, the redundancy of the network. Now, let's talk about the defensive structures. With defensive structures, represented by the red dots on the map, those will be representing pillboxes, foxholes, vehicle turrets, all the things that shoot and kill enemies and enemy vehicles. You can see how I have them spread out well around the networking systems. So you have both type of player constructions, the networks and the foxholes working together. All of them going around the crumbling post because that is our HQ after all. Even though we're going to be working out in the east, everything starts with the HQ. So you want to fortify the HQ first. Those are resources that can also be gathered and used. You can see some nice redundancy here on both sides of the road. Double layered network. Now in the beginning, you don't have to double it up in the very beginning, but I do recommend doubling network when possible. You can see I have plenty of default defenses around the sulfur node components here. Nice defenses there. So if the enemy were to somehow approach this area, it just wouldn't have an easy path right in. Also notice there are no walls built here. All of this is just foxholes, pillboxes, vehicle turrets, and networking systems. No walls at all. I want the fields to be open. If my men need to perform a flank for any reason, they can. They're going to go right out there and flank. I don't want any walls constructed along the roadside blocking my logistics for any reason at all. Roads must always be clear. Logistics is the lifeblood of any war. Well, let's just speak in terms of Foxhole. Logistics is the lifeblood of the war in Foxhole. The moment you start building in the road, you start putting your foxholes and pillboxes and whatever else and even some gates. I understand people like to, gate off areas and things of that nature. Depending on how it done, it can serve a purpose, but I'd rather not, because it's not going to do anything but limit your visibility and ability to perform strategic movements in these open areas. Now, in this area, as you can see, well defended here, and also keep in mind, you don't have to have the exact number of dots that are placed here, the exact number of foxholes and pillboxes. This is just to show you the concept that you want network spread along the sides of the road with plenty of defense surrounding it. You can see here, instead of a wall, we got a defensive barrier. So if enemies were to come through here, they couldn't just have a free pass through this area. They would bump right into all these foxholes and pillboxes and be shot to shreds if they were to make it into this area. Now, of course, you'd also have towers in here. The towers will let you know where the enemy is. But for now, we're going to speak about this without visual of towers. Now, in this area, you can see the scrap mounds well protected. If you're a scrapper, meaning you don't have much time to play, or if you just like scrapping, you just want to sit in the field, you got your dual monitor set up, you're watching YouTube or whatever you're watching, and you're waiting on the scrap to respawn, so that way when it does, you can just pop back in the foxhole, gather up all the scrap, set it into chests that are placed on the roadside, so that way when the Logi truck comes pouring on in, he can gather up all of that scrap from here, come over here, gather up all that scrap from there, and make his way back over to the crumbling post and manufacture it all. So that's why these areas are very well protected. I want my guys to just feel safe and secure. And you can see I have defensive structures or defensive barriers placed along any of these flanking routes. Same thing up here at our front lines. These areas over here would represent our front lines. Let's go ahead and back out and get a good visual of our front lines. The orange blinking there would be the front lines. So as you can see, that's where all the fighting is going to begin once we're able to go beyond this point. Or even if we're not able to, the enemy may think it's okay to just come wander in while we're building. So that's going to be the point of contact right there in this example. The reason I want to also point out with the front lines, again, with the quartermaster, when he's gathering all of these resources, when you're sending all these resources down to the quartermaster, what's happening? All he's hearing, random calls of resources to what? Where's he getting them all to? The front lines. That's right. Each and every time, this is all he's thinking about. There is no thought at all about the guys in the sulfur node who are having to deal with raiders. And one of the things I want you to think about as well, imagine this. When you just log onto the game, you're a logistics driver. I just use Logic for short. You're ready to come into the game and do your part. But there are no trucks. Where do you spawn? The crumbling posts. So here you are in the crumbling post. You got no trucks, no rides anywhere. Oops, went in too far. What do you have to do? You got to jump over here, get yourself some scrap, go to the manufacturing plant, you make it into B-mats, and then you're on this long walk over here to the Whispering Gulch. Pound out some fuel. After you get your fuel, now you're on the even longer walk to the key, the vehicle factory, where you can then make your own vehicle. So say, for instance, you made your vehicle. You figured, okay, I'm going to go back over here to talk to the QM. He says he needs shirts or whatever, or sulfur, whatever he needs. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to choose this area. I'm going to go over here, mine up the sulfur, mine up the components. I'll watch a video or two while I wait on the components to respawn. I want to come back to the QM with the truckload. So while I'm watching the videos, raiders just made their way right on down. When I pop back into Foxhole, I'm over here mining up the components again, getting ready to load the truck up and head back down to the QM. What happens? Well, the raiders end up attacking my truck. So now I got to bail on the truck gets blown up. Do you really think I'm going to be making that walk with the B-mats 100% encumbered to the fuel, 100% encumbered back to the key to make another vehicle to continue the same course of action. No, I am not. I am not doing that. You know what? I'm rage quitting because this is stupid. Nobody's protecting me. Nobody cares about anything but what? The front lines. That's all they care about. Well, the QM. That's all he cares about. That front line. Anybody up there complaining? They need HEs, they need grenades, grenade launchers, rifles, ammunition. That's all he cares about. He doesn't give a damn about where it comes from or what kind of work it takes to generate it and bring it to him. None of that matters. Just the front line. Well, over here in my setup, the first thing we do with our resources is build network and defense. Why? Because I understand these guys are going to be out here pounding out all of these resources, and I want those resources. I want them to keep coming in nonstop. Now, again, you don't have to build out the exact number of dots there. I'm just showing you what you'd like to have. You know, you want your area well defended. Because when that guy's sitting here or sitting there or just anywhere, and he's waiting on that scrap to respawn, he's got his truck there with him, you don't want him getting shot to death, blowing up the truck, just taking away all of that hard work that he's done. Now, say for instance, we got all of our defense up. Everything's up. We got all of our networking. And we're prepared to assault the enemy. Well, we need to have a plan. What most people don't have. All they want to do is just get a gun and a rifle, get some ammunition, run out there and go shoot somebody. You know, it's just Call of Duty. They're quick to just, you know, get a gun and go out there and perform the iconic Call of Duty backflip 360 quickscope headshot while falling off the edge of the map. That's what they want to do, but in Foxhole. You know, Call of Duty players, they just have that problem with them. So we're going to draw out a plan here. Never mind the Call of Duty guys, because I'm the commander. I'm set up over here at the latch. We got tons of resources being brought over to us. We've already constructed all of our network the way we want it. All of my scrappers and logi are safe. Now, how you get all this? You appoint a guy as the engineer. What the engineer is going to do is he's going to run around with a hammer and a couple of B-mats. He's going to put down the structure, hit it once or twice so that it'll stay there, and he's going to move on and place the next structure. He's going to be followed by a group of guys who's going to be builders. They're going to have their inventory loaded with B-mats and a hammer. They're going to be filling in the structures as the engineer's placing them. So that way, you know, there's no guessing as to what gets placed next. It's going to be there, that blue silhouette, waiting for you to fill it in. And of course, you don't want to go too far ahead of your builders. You know, your engineers got to have some brains. You know, have a whole road of just blue silhouettes all the way up to the stern coming from the Whispering Gulch. No, you don't do that. You build out a little bit, you know, lay down your silhouettes, and then you help your builders catch up. And once they catch up, you lay down a few more silhouettes, and then, you know, rinse and repeat until you get where you need to go. And then in certain areas like here, you come back and you build your defensive lines and you add a little bit of redundancy in there, and so on and so forth. All your areas where you need it. I would say this border area would have to be fortified first with redundancy, because that's where the enemy is most likely to come pouring through. But after you get that, I mean, all your areas where your scrappers are going to be working at, you want to definitely get them fortified as well. Once you get your defensive areas the way you want them, let's just, for the sake of this video, we're going to say this is how we want them. We got them just the way we want it. Now we're ready to siege. We're ready to go beyond our territory into warden territory. And our plan is, well, we could try to go straight to this town over here, Lochenberth. We could try that, but that might be a bit of, I mean, you know, that's they're not just going to let that go so easy. What we could settle for, however, these are 2 sulfur nodes right here, 2 component nodes, and fuel. I could settle for that. You know, if we could reach out here, take this, and hold it as our own, that would be great. So let's mark out the plan. This is the plan. Highlighted in green, the roads highlighted in yellow. These are the areas that we want to take. Well, I'm pretty sure the enemy's got some structures built around here. We're going to have to break them down. So what are we going to have to do? We're going to have a nice stockpile. Because after our defenses are structured, we're still going to have our logic guys bringing in lots of resources, right? Well, where are we going to put them? We don't want to just store them at the key, do we? Because if you stick them all around the town hall and around this weapons factory, what's going to happen? Well, somebody from over here is just going to wander right on down the road over here and take your resources and bring them back over here and go, hey, look, QM, look what I found. There's a lot of stuff over there. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want to make it clear this is our area. If you need to come and make a vehicle, that's fine. You know, the key's open to everybody. But our stockpile, however, we want that somewhere safe. Now, here's one of the things I don't see very often, which is the map allows for you to have these lovely side roads over here. Even the HQ has one that just, you know, lovely side roads that can be used, but nobody uses them. Well, we're going to use one now in this example. So what we're going to do, we're going to come right on out here and we're going to build us an FOB right over here. Let's go ahead and put that in. There we go. That's our FOB right there. It's flashing. So we got our FOB in. We chose here because this area is already well fortified. Our scrappers are nearby. So if anybody who's not one of our guys tries to come back here, I can get a message in chat letting me know, hey, some guy just drove a truck back there. And I, being the commander, I'm not going to be on the front lines myself because I've got to manage the operation. I've got a motorcycle for myself so I can move quickly. I'm going to jump on that motorcycle, come back here with a damn storm rifle or whatever I need, and whoever's at this FOB that isn't authorized to be there dies. And then all of my guys are going to vote to kick him. You know, there's no wandering around trying to take stuff. We're going to make it abundantly clear that this FOB is our stockpile. You are not to go over there unless you're authorized to do so. Anybody who tries to troll, take our resources, because this does happen, guys. People will load up a truck with already assembled resources, drive it right into the enemy hands, let the truck get blown up, and the enemy takes all the resources out of it. And there you go. You're out. All that work and labor just went straight to the enemy hands. Why? Because somebody's making a YouTube video and they thought it'd be funny. Well, for us, we don't think it's funny. So we will team kill you, and then we will vote to ban you. It's very simple. Our guys like knowing that all of their labor is going to protect them and stockpile here to allow us to advance into new territory, giving us access to more resources. Yep, let's go ahead and flash that real quick. There you go. More resources that we can do what with? Build more inventory so that we can then eventually siege over here to Lyun. We could try and go for Whitechapel, but we might want to stockpile a little bit more. We'll decide which one we go to first because they both got vehicle factories and shirt factories. This one may be more important, Whitechapel, because it also has a medical center. You may want to choose that one, but over here, you got a manufacturing plant. So, I mean, it could go either way. Now that we have the concept and the plan down, the only thing to do is you got to appoint your men. Your men need to know what they need to be doing. Of course, there are a lot of people who want to do the backflip 360 quick scope while falling off the edge of the map. Well, you put them on the front lines, you squad them up, you know, squads of 5 or however many men you've got. Because once you've got a setup like this going on, people are going to get tired of going over here and getting their butts handed to them. And there's nothing to fall back on. When the enemy comes pouring through here, there's no defense down to fall back on. Now, see if the enemy then tried to come this way, what happens? They run into all this mess and think, okay, path of least resistance right over here. You get what I'm saying? They're not going to want any of this over here on to the east. So they're just going to come straight down to the south. That's why we also have just enough here to fall back on for these guys. We want to somewhat protect this area. But our plan, we want our guys to be safe. We want our guys to know that everything is done based on a plan. We're not just hollering at the QM, telling the QM over and over, we need this, we need that. No, we've already got it because our guys are collecting the EMATs. And what are we doing? I send a couple of trucks. Like say you have a logistics manager. What that manager does is he reports directly to you, whereas the other logistics drivers, once they press all their scrap and components into B mats and R mats, their job is to bring them directly over here, store them at the stockpile, and continue on. Rinse and repeat. Get resources, bring them to the stockpile. With your logistics manager, you keep in close contact with that guy because his job is then to probably grab a scrapper from over here somewhere in the components area. He and that scrapper take a loaded truck of B mats straight down over here to the quartermaster. You don't even need to talk to the quartermaster, but I would do so just to work up a wonderful relationship with the guy or girl or whoever it is. Put your order in yourself. Have your guys, your logistics manager, and whoever he had to draft for help, put the order in himself. Go to the weapons factory. If you tell your logistics manager, we need way more HEs than what we got. I mean, we need tons of HEs because we're blowing up all of the enemy stuff. We're sieging. We're going in here. We're blowing up all of this stuff, right? So your logistics manager is going to come over here with that truck loaded of B mats. He's going to dump them into the weapons factory, get the HEs in the queue, talk to the QM. Chances are, over here in the West, they're not as organized, but they're always asking for stuff, right? And what does the QM always think about? What is he thinking about, guys? I'm sure you all know this, right? The front lines. That's all he ever thinks about. Whenever people cry, where, front lines? We need stuff. We're not doing anything for it, We're not organized or even making sure that the guys are protected. But where, we need stuff. So what do? You talk to the QM. He says, man, we're running low on B mats. We're running low on E mats. We're running low on all this stuff. Now, me personally, as a commander, you ain't getting any of my E mats. I don't give a damn what the East needs as far as E mats go, but I can send an additional truck or two of B mats down to you. How's about this, though? Let's make a deal. I also need smokes and a few other things. You put my orders in first. Make sure that I get all of the things I need, and I'll make sure that you get a couple of trucks filled to the brim with B mats. Every so often, I'll let you know when the trucks are coming. So you work that deal out with the QM. He makes sure that your stuff goes in first. You just put a message into the QM. He's already looking out for you to have a message in there, and bada boom, bada bing. Your order goes in, he gets his B mats. Now you're working around the QM. You're not dependent on the QM to make sure that you get what you need. You're working around the QM now. He can help you in your siege, but you're not totally dependent on him for the siege. You don't have to constantly spam and chat. You need this, you need that, because you're taking an inventory right over here. So you know that, okay, I've got 10 chests loaded up on side of this FOB. With B mats, I got another 4 chests of R mats. I got 2 chests of E mats, and I got a truck or 2 parked right upside this thing, constantly extracting whatever. Say I send my logistics manager down here. All right, I need you to extract us about 50 HE grenades. I need them already assembled and ready to go. That's what he does. He comes down here. He extracts, he gets them assembled, and he brings them right back up to us over here on the latch. We got us a nice storage system over here in the corner somewhere, wherever you want it at. It could be over here. And that way, when it's time to siege, now all we got to do is have us a truck ready. That's our front lines truck, which is going to be managed by our logistics manager. So as our soldiers, all our bunch of 360 quick scope headshot while falling off the edge of the map guys go rushing out in here, we can have our logistics manager back us up. We'll have an engineer put a couple of chests over here on the sidelines wherever we're sieging at. Logistics manager dumps the items in the chest and get the hell out of Dodge before the trucks get blown up. And we work like that until we take this area. I think that's a great plan. I think it'll work. And I think that if you try it, if you had men that could actually see it, I think that when logistics actually see that, look, I'm being protected. All of this stuff, all this labor I'm doing right now, pounding all this scrap, these components, these EMATs are being put to work for me. I can see it all around me. If I go drive up this road, I'm seeing everything that I did put on this road. And it's not in my way. I'm not giving you a truckload of BMATs so that you can then build a damn FOB right here in the cross center, and then I got to figure out a new way to get around it. You get what I'm saying? It's being done wisely. And I think that means a lot for all the players in the game. So if you have any questions, guys, please leave them down below in the comment section. If you like this strategy or if you think it needs some improvement, also leave that down in there and leave a like for me. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, this is just a concept. It's not just this map. The concept can be applied on any map, on either the east side of the map over here in Crumbling Post or the west side. I just got it backwards just now. On the if it could be on the west side at the Crumbling Post or the east side on the Stern, or whatever map that you're on, it can be employed the same way. Get your defense, because if it all goes to hell, say this plan does not work out, the enemy has much more built there than what we thought. When we fall back, it's not an empty field that the enemy can take from us. They're going to come crashing and burning right into this defense, and we can regroup. All right, whatever resources we carried out there, well, we can either grab it in the truck and roll out with it, because it's only in chests, right? So we can grab it and go, or if it's too dangerous, let it fall. One way or another, we're not burning up a ton of shirts. We can get it all done. Now, another thing, I know some of you might be wondering, well, what about the FOBs? You guys gonna need a place to spawn, blah, 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 blah. Well, check it out. The reason they put barracks in the game is because you can build them with 100 B maps, and they can be placed anywhere along here. You can just slap them on the side of the road, and you can do them in small clusters of 2 or 4 barracks. You always want to have your Logi guys, whoever your Logi manager is, he'll know that he needs to constantly keep shirts coming at you. Where do the shirts go? At the stockpile, not inside the FOB. That's why you have a logistics manager. All right. He's smart enough to know, don't try and stockpile shirts in an FOB. You store them in a chest. All right. So that kind of thing you'll work out with your logistics manager, whoever it is that's smart enough to know these things, and I wouldn't necessarily say smart enough, but who has the experience. You know what? Screw it. I'll say smart enough, because there are some idiots in this game, man. I mean, oh my God. Some of the stuff I've seen. And trolls. Always trolls. They're in every game, though. But, yeah, the concept, if you guys like it, please leave a like down below. If you really like it, like and subscribe. Definitely give me a comment if you think there's a flaw with the plan, or if you think it can be improved in any kind of way. And I like constructive criticism, not just, hey, I prefer the backflip 360 quick scope while falling off the edge of the map, and I don't like you talking about anything other than that. So all right, guys, you have a good day.